Here's how to make a killer YouTube script to blow up your business. A single script could be the difference between getting your big break on YouTube or going completely unnoticed. But how exactly do you create a video script that not only the YouTube algorithm favors, but turns viewers into millions of dollars? What do the top YouTube entrepreneurs know that we don't? To find out, I spent the last 30 days with my team poring over interviews, listening to talks, and analyzing the best performing scripts from the top creators in the world. I also broke down the formula behind my clients and I's viral video scripts that brought me millions in revenue. And I can say that after 70 plus pages of notes later, I discovered that the best YouTube scripts follow a 5-part formula. This video will walk you through them all. The first part of the formula is overlooked by most beginners. Most beginners start making their YouTube video by picking a topic that they have not done enough research on, and immediately they start filming the video. When they then start to film, they find themselves going mostly on the top of their head with barely any structure. They don't realize that by rushing the research process and not doing preparation beforehand, they are filming a video that the audience can clearly see you just did not try hard enough on. This causes people to click off the video if they feel they are not getting the value that they wanted fast enough. Alex Hormozi, a successful entrepreneur and YouTuber, claims that on some of his videos, he will spend over 4 weeks just planning and scripting the video. And Alex Hormozi's results proves that this mindset has worked well for him. Now, I know what you may be thinking. Well, Caleb, I see some channels go viral and they don't seem to be using a script. How do they do it? And yes, that's a fair point, but if you look closer, you'll find out a secret tactic that these YouTubers use that you just don't notice. If you take a look at Charlie Morgan, for example, who some will claim his videos do not seem scripted, you'll see that he uses a whiteboard to explain his points about business. But what you don't realize is that Charlie used a bullet point script and memorized it so well that it looks like he's talking from the top of his head. But in reality, he scripted and planned out what he was going to draw ahead of time in his videos. The same goes for Neuro Knowledge. Neuro gained over 150,000 subscribers in just 30 days. He tries the exact same strategy as Charlie Morgan. It doesn't seem like he scripted much, but in reality, he scripted the entire video with bullet points on what he was going to cover. The whole point of their videos is to create the illusion that they are not using a script and that they are so naturally gifted at speaking about complex business problems that it positions them in your mind as a knowledgeable expert and leader in their niche. This is why it's so important to do as much research and scripting as you can when making a YouTube video. You need to be watching every single successful video around the topic that you are going to make a video about and jot down notes of what they cover in their video. This will help you write a script that covers all the key points on your topic and makes you look like an expert or the best creator of that topic. Now, of course, there are some channels that are anomalies and go viral not having a script, but I would argue that most of them are following the 5-part formula I'm about to show you without even realizing it. Now, this next piece of the research formula you need in order for the previous one to make sense. If we are going to research our competitors to see what has worked in the past, we need to know what specifically to pay attention to out of their video that tells us what works and what doesn't. So for us to know this, we have to understand what YouTube as a platform cares about when ranking a YouTube video. Above all, YouTube cares about viewer satisfaction. So viewer satisfaction means how do people feel and what did they do after watching your video. YouTube uses metrics like how long have they watched your video for? Did they like your video? Did they leave comments? Did they click on another video of yours after? Did they share your video with their friends? These different small metrics added together start to stack up into your favor. So in order for us to take this information and see what competitors did that achieved these metrics for them, we need to break down our initial research into 4 components. First is views. For this one to make sense, I want to give you an analogy. If you were someone wanting to learn how to swim and you were researching to find a good swim coach to learn from, would you pick someone who visually you can see swim in the water without even trying? Or would you pick someone who every single time they hit the water, they somehow end up drowning? Now, obviously you're gonna pick the person who's proficient at swimming to learn from, but that's my point. Most YouTube entrepreneurs start their research process by picking videos to emulate that have 0 to no views at all. And that's the worst way to do it. When I'm looking at videos I should emulate and learn from, I need to make sure that I'm learning from a video that performed well in the first place. So I specifically learn from videos that have a huge amount of views for the topic. Second is hook. With short form platforms like TikTok and now YouTube Shorts, everyone's attention spans are getting less and less each day. Back in the day, you would have 10 seconds to grab someone's attention, but in today's content world, you have less than 5 seconds. This is why the next piece of research I do on a competitor's video is I study what they say or do in the first 5 to 30 seconds that grabs my attention. Now, I'll cover more later in this video on how to write a hook in your script, but for now, keep this in the back of your mind when you're researching competitor scripts. Third is comments. Probably one of the most underrated things you can do in the research process is study competitors' comment sections. In the comments, people will tell you what they like or don't like about the video. They will also give you an idea of who the person is that you'll be speaking directly to when making your video. This helps us to identify common struggles, age, demographic, or dreams that these people have that we can later leverage in our scripts. I'll dive deeper into this part later in the video. Fourth is outro. You know how I mentioned previously that the YouTube algorithm favors videos that lead people to watch more of your videos, right? Well, in the outro of your competitors' videos, see how they ended off the video. Did they lead people to subscribe or watch another video? If so, then that might be a telling sign that they leverage that one important metric to help grow their video faster, which means you may want to do that too. And I'll cover later in this video an outro formula that made me multiple 6 figures. Now that you know the 4 major components of what to study from your competitors, now let's dive into identifying what type of script you should be writing. There's 4 major types of scripts. The first script type is a bullet point script. It looks something like this. This script type is good for you if you are coherent on camera and you don't go off topic rambling for too long. Your content niche is less formal and more conversational in nature. You have a good memory and can remember the key points you want to cover without a full word-for-word script. Your video is relatively short and doesn't require a complex narrative or structure. The next script type is a word-for-word script, which usually looks like something like this. Alex Ramosi, a successful entrepreneur and YouTuber, claims that on some of his videos, he will spend over 4 weeks just planning and scripting the video. Now, this script type is good for you if you want to ensure that you cover all necessary information and don't forget any important points. You have a tendency to ramble or go off topic when speaking without a script. You are not confident in your ability to speak off the cuff or improvise effectively. You need to include specific data or quotes, and you want to practice and refine your delivery before recording. Now, if you do a word-for-word script, you need to use a teleprompter or a teleprompter app. I personally use the Elgato prompter, which doubles down as a monitor for my computer on top of being able to read a script while still maintaining eye contact with the camera. If you don't have a huge budget, you can download different types of teleprompter apps on your mobile phone and use your phone to film your videos. The next script type is a slideshow script. This one looks something like this.
So here's my promise to you guys today. I can show you how to get strangers to want to buy your stuff. And I want to be clear.
It's a good script for you if you are doing longer length training or a webinar style of a video, or you just don't have time to edit a video or have a team member to edit the videos for you. The other script type is a flowchart script. It usually looks like something like this.
You can see here is in order for this process to work and for me to make money and profit down here and put money into my bank.
Charlie Morgan is known for using flowchart scripts in his videos. This script type is good for you if you're trying to illustrate a workflow or strategy to something that requires visuals to better understand it. It's typically business-related videos or very complex topics I see that use this script type. Now, from personal experience, I've found that the best scripts I've done are word for word because yes, it does take a lot of preparation time, but after the scripting process is over, everything else is significantly easier and faster in production time. If you don't have a lot of time, I recommend combining the word-for-word script with bullet points. For example, I would script the first 30 seconds of the video word for word, and then the rest would be bullet points. So it would look something like this. This ensures you grab the viewer's attention early in the video to make them keep watching, but then saves you the preparation time by having a bullet point script later in the video. Now, when I'm trying to study a competitor's script and why it performs so well, sometimes it's best to put the video into a Word document so you can easily analyze the text on the screen. This is the step-by-step formula that I do in order to do this. So first you want to go to a YouTube video and then go to the description of their video. You want to click on the button that says show transcript. Then go to the 3 dots and click toggle timestamps. Then take all of that text on the screen and copy it. You then want to go to ChatGPT and insert this prompt. I have a competitor YouTube script and I want you to reformat it for me to easily read it. Do not remove any words from it. I need the full text to remain. I just need it reformatted so I can read it better instead of a block of text. Let me know when you are ready for me to send it. Once ChatGPT responds saying to send the word for word text, simply paste the text and hit send. ChatGPT will now reformat all of this text for you so you can then copy that text and put it into a Google Doc to easily read your competitor's script. This now allows us to analyze what the competitor did well in their video, and our goal with time is to notice patterns across multiple competitor scripts to see what they all have in common. Another pro tip with ChatGPT is you can now ask it questions like, what are some common struggles or pain points the competitor called out in this script, and who is the competitor speaking to / what type of demographics? And then you get a list of pain points and struggles and information about demographics that your competitors are trying to call out that you can then later use when writing your script. And if you want to be successful on YouTube, you need to study already successful creators and emulate them, but make it better. The second part to our 5-part formula to creating a killer script to blow up your business is a killer hook, also known as the first 30 seconds of your video. When you start writing your hook, most people start with a sentence like, hey guys, welcome back to another video. But that right there is wasted time and will lead people to clicking off your video. People want the value that they clicked for as fast as possible. This is why the first principle to creating a killer hook is validating the click of the video. Typically, this is when you repeat the title of the video and the first line of the script, or you visually show people what they clicked for. Here's an example from Behiza titled My Simple $5,000 a Day Stock Trading Strategy.
I just made $5,000 this morning with a stock trading strategy that I want to explain in this video. Well, it was actually a couple mornings ago, but the morning of this screen recording. I've been consistently using it for the last year or so, but this particular trade is just so clean and simple that it's the perfect example to explain it.
You notice how within the first 3 seconds, he said the keywords that are in the title? Did you also notice that Behiza purposefully showed his phone with the earnings validating the $5,000 made and the ka-ching sound effect? This is the perfect example of validating the click, both verbally and visually, making people know that what you will show them is not clickbait and you are getting straight to the point. When I look at where my time should go creating a script, 30% of my energy is literally perfecting the first 3 seconds of the video. Because with YouTube, if I can hook people in for 30 seconds, dramatically the rest of the video's retention increases, which shows YouTube that my video is valuable and worth promoting to more people. There's no point in working so hard on the middle or the end of your video if the majority of people will never even see that part of the video because you failed at getting their attention in the first place at that 30-second mark. Now, there's 3 things you should avoid when writing hook. The first is babble. You want to be concise and straight to the point. The second is jargon. Don't use words that only experienced people in your niche would understand. Words like ROAS, which means return on ad spend, would throw the majority of people off. Third is credentials. You don't want to be too excessive with showing off your credentials in your videos, like your client results or personal achievements. It shouldn't come off like you are trying to sell yourself so hard to the viewer. Give them enough info that you are a credible person, but not too much that it becomes distracting and too long. And if you don't have credibility personally yet, you can do what I did at the very beginning of this video, for example, and I said, hey, I went through 70 pages plus of notes and studied all the top people and top creators to see what they did. And that gives you credibility because you're taking someone else's credibility and applying it to your video. So little tip for you. The next piece of creating a killer hook is calling out the viewer's pain points. A pain point is a struggle or issue that the viewer you are speaking to is going through in their everyday life and wants to resolve. If you're a finance channel, this could be the pain point of being broke and wanting to achieve financial freedom. A great pain point hook that Iman Gadzhi pulled off in his Do This to Make $10,000 as a Student video was the following.
Ladies and gentlemen, absolutely everyone wants to know how to make $10,000 a month as a student. The only issue is there's a lot of BS out there. There's a lot of misinformation, and there's a lot of people making it seem a lot easier than it actually is.
Did you catch it? The hook was, everyone wants to know how to make $10,000 a month as a student. This part validated the click for the title. But then he followed it up with this sentence saying, the only issue is there's a lot of BS out there and there's a lot of misinformation and there's a lot of people making it seem a lot easier than it actually is. This right here is the pain point He's targeting his demographic, which is young students who feel lost and overwhelmed with all of the make money online videos on YouTube, feeling like they are being lied to. This not only validates the click, but it hits their pain point, which then causes them to keep watching through the quick introduction and the main part of the video because they want to resolve their pain points so badly. Remember the ChatGPT instructions that I showed you earlier in the video to identify your audience's pain points? Well, this is where you will use that information to your advantage and insert the top pain point into your hook. Now, when writing a hook, you need to make sure that every single sentence reels the viewer in to want to listen to the next sentence. Any sentence that does not flow well or feels like it directly holds the viewer's attention span needs to be cut out of the script. If you're still lost on hook ideas, here's some of the top hooks I've seen perform on YouTube that might work for you. Are you having trouble with tricky point? Example, are you having trouble finding work-life balance? What if I told you that there is an easy way to, and then the desired result? Example, what if I told you that there is an easy way to make $10,000 a month in under 30 minutes a day? Why is no one talking about, and then in connection with your business or niche? Example, why is no one talking about the mental health effects of yoga? And so much more. And I'll have a link in the description of this video if you want a full PDF of all of these hooks. The third part to the formula of creating a killer YouTube script that blows up your business is creating a killer meat. And no, I don't mean literally like meat like a cheeseburger. I mean meat as in the main part or body of your script. This is where you provide all of the valuable tips or tricks or commentary of your video in this section. The best YouTubers know how to create a structure within their script's body. When you read a book, there's a section called a table of contents. This lays out all the different chapters of a book in an organized way from chapter 1 to chapter 10. If you attempted to read chapter 3 and then chapter 1 right after, the book would not make sense. You need chapter 1 to be read first and then chapter 2, and then finally chapter 3 for the book content to finally make sense. All of the chapters work together in a sequence to fully convey the message of the book. This is how you should look at your script's body. You need to create chapter subheaders that flow together. Another way to have structure in your scripts is leveraging the hero's journey. The hero's journey is an old method of telling stories in scripts. And if you want to stand out of the crowd on YouTube of all these other gurus and people out there, you need to learn how to storytell. The best teachers and entertainers use stories to fully illustrate their lesson. The method they typically use is the hero's journey. The hero journey starts with the protagonist, which is typically the main character of the story. For this illustration, I'm going to tell a story for a video titled How to Make Your First $10,000 as a Student. The protagonist is going to be me, as I'll be telling my personal story. So in the first step of the hero's journey, you need to establish the main character's environment. For me, at age 16, I was a student and I was broke. This sets up the next step of the hero's journey, which is the need, also known as the pain point in the story. For me, at age 16, I was struggling to figure out how to make money online because I was working a dead-end fast food job for $8 an hour. My pain point and need in this situation is money and feeling lost. This sets up the story for the third part, which is meeting a mentor or finding information that changes everything. In my personal story, I met a YouTube mentor who gained 1 million subscribers in just 90 days. I took a chance and I donated my last $200 of my last earned money in order to get his attention. With that, he hopped into a phone call with me and I asked him to mentor me to make YouTube a full-time living, and in exchange, I was willing to edit his videos for free. The mentor gave me the opportunity, which leads to our next part of the story, which is the fourth stage of the hero's journey, trials and failure. A great story tells you deeply about the trial and error it took to finally achieve success. If my personal story simply ended with me finding a mentor and it was all sunshine and rainbows after I made millions of dollars, the story just wouldn't be good. Instead, my real story followed a sequence of events where day after day I was working 12 hours a day to edit videos for this YouTuber, and I even dropped out of high school to just have a chance at this YouTube thing becoming like a full-time career for me. Through months and months of hard work, I still wasn't successful. I could see small wins along the journey, but I kept failing and I always had doubts if it would ever actually work out for me. Not only that, but everyone around me told me that I wasn't going to be successful. So by having your story that you tell or the illustration you tell people in telling your scripts, you need to hit hard on this fourth part of the hero's journey, because this is the part that will relate the most to the viewer that is watching you. This is where you can hit on 10 different pain points that you want to go through, and it only takes just one of them to relate to the viewer and grab their attention to listen through the entire story. Because the goal with your YouTube video is to create emotion, not just spit fat. Most people are not logical, most people are more emotional based. So if you can make someone feel something, your script will just stand out 10 times more. An example of the 10 different pain points in my story was how I kept failing and working for months and months without true success. Also, how I was told I would fail, how I doubted my success myself. These are pain points which will relate to the students that I'm trying to speak to in my video titled How to Make Your First $10,000 as a Student. The fifth stage of the hero's journey is growth and new skills. This part of the story is where you show off how all of those trials and failures led to learning new things that made you stronger and made you better. Then comes the sixth stage, which is the death and rebirth stage. This is where the main character in the story goes from being lost, broken down person to becoming the hero. For example, with my story, after months of hard work, I stumbled upon a secret production strategy that I used in my videos, which overnight blew up my first video to over 1 million views. This then leads us to the 7th through 11th stages of the hero's journey, which is once I found success with one video, I applied it to all of my videos and every single one of them started to go viral. Finally, I was able to make money full time from YouTube, and eventually I moved out of my parents' house, got a penthouse, met famous YouTubers, became friends with them, made millions of dollars, traveled the world with my fiance, and so much more. All because of that one tactic that led me to more discoveries and successes. And so this is where, if you are doing an educational video, you'd use this story to then transition into telling your audience the secret formula that you use to get success and how they can do it themselves. And that's how you tell a story using the hero's journey framework. But this framework alone isn't enough. Another important piece to creating a killer script meet is using subheader hooks and transitions. You know how I previously mentioned that in a book, you need to read all of the chapters in a sequence in order for all of it to make sense, right? Well, subheader hooks and transitions add cliffhangers to every single end of the chapter so that it causes you to need to watch the next chapter. So remember how in TV shows, they end off a season always with like a cliffhanger that makes you want to watch the next season when it finally gets released the following year. That's what I mean by a cliffhanger. Every single end of your subheader needs to have one. Let's use Iman Gadzhi as an example. In his video titled 7 AI Tools That Will Make You Rich, he ends off a subheader by transitioning from the previous subheader conversation without you even noticing it. Watch this.
And that eventually led to our current reality where short form content is king. Now there's multiple ways to go about short form. And I would know because over the last year, I've had 20 full-time editors, full-time, strictly doing short form content for me. Now, obviously that's super expensive. We have a full department for it. We have a department lead, and it's simply not an option for most people. And that's where tools like Opus Clip become extremely useful.
Did you notice it? While he was still on point number 1, he ended point number 1 with a couple sentences that would set up point number 2 without you even realizing it. He hit you with a pain point, which was how to create a ton of short form content without a team or a big budget. And he transitioned into point number 2, which was the solution using the AI tool Opus Clip. This keeps people listening to your video and not ever clicking off the video. Now, when you write a script, most will visualize a script as simply just a Word document. But the best script writers, they don't just write word for word scripts. They visualize what the editor will display on the video later as B-roll. B-roll is overlaid footage or elements that you display on screen while the narrator is speaking. When I'm writing my scripts, I purposefully add blue text highlight with B-roll notes on what I want my editor to display in that particular moment of the script. I then try to film ahead of time all of the B-roll content or find images I need to put into a Google Drive for my editor to use later on. This secret hack will keep your retention high, because the alternative would be that people are forced to watch your face the entire video with no visuals. Most people are going to get bored and click off of that. By having B-roll that appears every 20 to 30 seconds, you can keep the viewer engaged as there's always something on the screen changing. And the best way to do this is to script out what B-roll you need ahead of time before you even film. The fourth part of the 5-part formula to creating a killer YouTube script that blows up your business is a killer outro. An outro is the very end of your video, typically the last 10 to 20 seconds. So in 2019, I met up with Ryan Trahan and Mr. Beast. Ryan Trahan pulled me aside and wanted me to look over his YouTube analytics. So an hour later, I crammed into his hotel room with like 6 other YouTubers as they all stared me down, looking at me as I overlooked at Ryan's video data. Now, what I found though was shocking. Almost every single time Ryan hit the last minute mark of his videos, I noticed a massive drop off in his retention. Something was happening that made people want to click off the video too soon. And what I found when diving deeper is that right before everyone drops off, Ryan always said the following words. So that's where I'll end it off, guys. These words are like a death sentence to your video's outro. Because by Ryan saying that, everyone assumed that the video was ending, so they clicked off, not realizing that there is still another minute left of his video. And this negatively affected Ryan's video performance. This is where every YouTuber goes wrong. They always use language that tells the viewer the video is ending. Language like, so in conclusion, or thanks for watching. Any of this will cause people to drop off. The goal with a killer outro that keeps people's attention spans is simple. Don't tell them the video is ending. What the YouTube pros do is they end the video off abruptly, or at least the last 5 seconds. They use a thing called an end screen, where they try to get people to click to watch another video of theirs. Some of them mention to click on that video end screen, but others sometimes don't even mention it at all, and they just pop it on at the end of the video. Look at how Ryan Trahan does it today.
Why would they do it? Maybe I don't even want a luxury car. Well, I guess I'm just gonna have to keep driving.
Now, look at how others do it when they verbally sign off, like Ali Abdaal.
Video about how to guarantee that you'll regret your life, which is a video.
You see how Ali Abdaal recommended a video to watch that works well off the current video that you are currently watching. This keeps the viewers in a loop, binge watching all of your content, which makes YouTube promote you even more. Now, the technical term for what Ali Abdaal is doing is called a CTA, also known as call to action. There's many different forms of a call to action. A couple of the main ones being asking people to watch another video, subscribing, or promoting your product at the end of the video. Now, I personally don't recommend asking people to subscribe at the end of the video. If people find your videos valuable, they'll just naturally subscribe or like your video. You don't really have to ask for it. Your outro needs to have the most important call to action at the end, and you should only have one call to action at the end of the video. Any more causes viewers to overthink and not even take action on anything. If you're going to promote your product at the end of the video, here's some takeaways that I have about that. I typically don't recommend promoting your product at the end of the video unless it's a long video above 30 minutes, because naturally if people want to work with you on consulting services or some random product that you have, what ends up happening is they'll naturally find those products either in the YouTube description or what have you, because almost every YouTuber today sells something and everyone knows that. One of the issues with promoting a link at the end of your video is it ruins the binge loop cycle that I mentioned previously and causes people to click off the platform. Sometimes YouTube looks at that as a negative thing, because after all, YouTube is a business, and as a business, they benefit if they can keep people on their platform for as long as possible. And so the highest form of a CTA for YouTube is getting people to watch another video of yours via the end screen. The fifth piece to our 5-part formula to making a killer YouTube script is a killer testing checklist. When you are done writing your script, you need to run through this 5-part checklist to ensure your script is ready to film. The 5th grader check is where you send your script to ChatGPT and ask it to reword your script so that a 5th grader can understand it. The reason why this is important is because the average person only understands at a 5th grade reading level. So if you ever use big words or make things more complex than they need to be, then you'll lose a lot of viewers because they can't keep up on the verbiage. Next is the verbal check. This is when you read your script out loud if you are already filming. Sometimes when we read a word for word document in our head, it sounds good, but then we say it out loud and we notice it just doesn't flow well. This helps us because now we can improve our script based on that, which this one then leads us to the next check, which is the flow check. Make sure your script that there's a logical flow throughout each sentence where it works well off of each other and transitions smoothly. The 4th is the resting check. This is where you take a break from writing for about a day or so. Go on a walk, think about other things, and then when you come back, you can reread the script and see if there's more things that you could add that would make the script better, or things that you want to remove that you feel is repetitive. The next is the human check. This is when you send it to a trusted friend, or preferably, if you can, find someone who's credible, who understands YouTube, to review your script and tell you what they think you could do better on. Now, we covered a lot about how to write a script, but writing scripts is only half of the YouTube growth battle, unfortunately. If you truly want to win win at YouTube, you need to have a killer video idea. And that's why I recommend you watch my next video on how to pick one right here. I'll see you over there.